Okay. Okay. Welcome. Welcome, Mr. Fidelis Ogwa. Oh, you're punctual. Thank you. Please, if you can hear me, just drop an emoji so I will know you can hear me clearly.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. 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 Thank you. Welcome, Mr. David. Yeah. So today's lesson is going to be a bit more fun. Yeah, it's going to be more fun because we are going to, let me hide this, let me minimize this. Because we are going to start from where we stopped in the last class. We're going to start from where we stopped in the last class so that we can understand the last assignment I gave, because I realized that many of us had difficulties attempting the previous assignments on functions. Yeah, many of us have difficulties on that. Okay, so let's review that. Let's review that assignment I gave on functions first. Let's look at that first. I'm trying to get my own copy. Okay, good. Now, the first question says, what's the difference between a parameter and an argument? What is the difference between a parameter and an argument? Okay, you can unmute your mic to talk if you feel like explaining something to me, because I noticed that most results I got, okay, a lot of people had that mixed up. Yes, so I need to clear that now so that it will be something that is clear and really understood by everyone. So what's the difference between a parameter and an argument? Is there anyone who can answer, Mr. David, Mr. Fidelis? Anyone who can answer this for us?
All right. Parameter is like a variable within a parenthesis. Why uh, the other word? What's his name again? That's the value of the value of the parameter.
Okay. Okay, now let me. Okay, yeah, I think that's okay, but let me hear from some other person. Thank you, Mr. Fidelis. Is there any other person that has something to contribute before I come out with my own answer? Okay. Now I'll answer that question first. I'll answer this particular one, and the next one will answer it together. Okay, let me do this. Now, a parameter, you see, when you create a function, okay, when you create a function, you, if you remember the last class, you create that function in a way that it takes in something. Let me get that project from here so that I can share my screen. I'll share my screen. Am I here? Am I on the right part? Sorry, just making sure. Okay. Now, I believe you can see my screen, right? Okay, what's different between a parameter and an argument? Now, if you remember in this project, whenever we create a function, like this function now, let me zoom out. This function, we defined a function called hello, and the function takes in two parameters. That is name and age. And when you are calling that function, okay, now you give it an argument, name and age. That means the parameter happens when you are creating the function, okay, or when you are defining the function. That is when it's being called a parameter. It's like a placeholder. It's like a space that you have created, that, hey, this space, so keep this thing for me whenever it comes. You have created, let's say you have created a space for something, and you say, okay, this space is going to take in just name, this one's going to take in number, this one's going to take in um anything, object or whatsoever. Okay, so when you define it in a function, okay, you give the function name. Now you create what? Parameters. Okay, and whenever the function is being used, then the function takes in arguments. Okay, now if I remember, we created this function, this hello function, and this hello function does not have parameters. It doesn't take in any parameters. You understand? It doesn't. So when you call it hello, it just does what it's supposed to do. Nothing. It doesn't take in any parameter. Compared to the ones that take in parameters, like this one takes in parameters, takes in hello. It takes in name as a parameter. I believe that question is cleared now, right? I believe that question is clear. Okay. Please send me an emoji to let me know that I can move on, please. Okay, thank you, man. Thank you. So let's look at the next question. The next question says, okay, I think most people got this one right. Most people got this one right. Let's come here. Okay, next, what will this code print? Okay, remember in this code, we defined a function, okay, and the name of the function is greet. Okay, and if you remember, we did something called default. This particular function has a default input. Okay, so this function says, what the function does, it says hi plus the name of anybody that is being given. Okay, now we call the function using greet here. This simply means that what, we did not give it any any argument when we called it here. If we had called it like saying greet John, it would have said hello John. Now let's try this on our edu block so that we can, I like to um, show you what I'm doing. Okay, edu blocks is coming up. Okay, yeah, Python 3 text. Okay, this place is for our code. This is for the output. Now let's create the function. Define function. We say greet. Okay, and we say the function has a parameter called name. And if no name is given, function should just do this. Now let me remove it. The function should just say, the name is Gen Z Coder. Okay, and don't forget this. Let me something. Just say this, Gen Z Coder. Okay. Now, so what's my keyboard? Okay. Now, the next thing is this. We tell this, oh, I missed something somewhere. Okay, good. Now we tell the same function that, hey, what you're doing is you're printing hi in string. Please take note of that. Hi plus name. That means any name that is being given plus exclamation mark. Exclamation mark should be in this quote also. That shows us that it's a string. Now we have created the function. Okay, so let's run it. Let's say greet. Then let's say greet and run the code. Let's say it says hi Gen Z coder. Okay, let me fix my space. I think that's very necessary for clarity. Clear output and run again. Now it says hi Gen Z coder. It says hi Gen Z coder because I did not give the function its argument. Okay, so this function, now let me run this function again and say great can. Okay, and I clear output and run again. Now it says hi Ken. It's saying hi Ken because there is an argument, but if there is no argument, it returns this one here. Okay, good. So now let's go back to question 3. True or false? If you pass a list to a function and change it, the changes affect the original list. Okay. Now, what's the answer to that? Anybody in the house? Is anybody, you can unmute your mic to give me answers to that. True or false? When you true. Okay, thank you. True. That's good. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, write a function add numbers a b that returns the sum a and b. I think this is a little bit technical, but we'll do it together in our EduBlocks platform. Now it says write a function, okay, that returns the sum of two numbers. Remember, let me share this. It says write a function that add numbers a, b, and that returns the sum of a and b. It's simply what? A function that adds two numbers. That's what it does. So let's do that here together now. Well, first of all, define the function, add numbers. Okay. Now the parameter is a and b. Okay. Now what the function what it returns is a plus b. Remember we've been doing print and print and print and print. But this time around, this question is meant to challenge you. Okay? So we are returning a plus b. Now, let's look at this. Let's call the function add numbers. Add numbers. Now we do 4, 5. Okay. And now let's run and see. Okay. Okay, good. Now we are wondering what is happening here is this. We told the function to run it, but we did not print the value out. We did not print the value out. Remember, I told you something, that print helps to output the result of whatever you have done. Print helps to output the result of whatever you have done. Okay, I'm getting a message from somebody. Okay. Okay, good. So print helps to output the result of whatever you have done. So if you run a function without using that print function, That means you do not want anything to come out. You do not want people to see something. You just want it to happen on the background. That's exactly what print does. It kind of gives out the information. Now let's do this together. Oh, I'm not sharing this tab. Sorry. Now let's do this together. Sorry. Let's sharing the tab, please. Please, if you're having issues if with the audio or anything, kindly let me know. Okay, now somebody just messaged me that I've not been sharing a particular tab, so I had to fix that now. Okay, okay, good. Okay, good. Now let's continue. Thank you. Now let's continue. So I was answering the question that says write a function, add numbers a and b that returns the sum of a and b. Okay, so to do that, you're simply doing this. You're going to create a function first, and you give it a name, add numbers. You can give it any name you want, but remember the naming rules in Python is that it starts with a character. When I mean character like A, B, C, D, E, F, it never starts with a number. Don't start your variable name with a number. And if your variable name or if your function name or variable name requires two words like this, it's better you use underscore to separate the two words. So Python still sees it as one word. Okay, so it will not confuse the Python's environment or what code you are working on. So let's do this. Okay. Now I've defined the function add numbers a and b. Now this function simply return a plus b. So this is exactly what I expect from you, and most of you got it right. I really appreciate most of you got it right for this. Okay, good. So let's come down to question number 5. Question number 5 says, what is returned by this function? What is returned by this function? What is returned by this function? Now, from looking at the code only, I can tell you that it returns a tuple containing all the return values, meaning that it's going to return Python 3 true. It is a tuple because this is a basic function. Okay, the function is called info. The name of the function is info. Okay, the function was created not to take any parameter. Okay, and what the function does is that it returns Python 3 true. So when you say print info, it says print down. What it does is print what? Python 3 true on your screen. That's what it does. It prints Python 3 true on your screen. Good. So any questions so far? Is there anything I need to explain further before I move on to what we have for today? Okay, if I'm to carry on, please, you can just send me an emoji so I know I can carry on. Okay, thank you. Okay, good. Okay, thank you so much. So let's carry on. So today I want us to talk about what we call control statements. Control statement. Control statements in Python, we have used it. You see, in this particular bootcamp, in this class, I'm trying to make sure that you get the best out of everything in the sense that I had to use the inverted pyramid format to teach, meaning we start with building, then we understand what we have built, okay? Then we can go back to build again. So what that does is as long as you've started with building, you have hands-on experience, you have experienced errors, you have experienced bugs. So when you're now being told what those errors are, when you're now being explained to, okay, now you understand those errors and you can rebuild again without errors. Okay, so that pattern of teaching is, to me, I actually enjoy it. So I had to use it because I feel it works best. It makes people understand better. Okay, rather than first giving theory, explaining, and giving practicals at the end. But remember, today's class will end with a practical assignment. Yeah, I'll give us a project to build. We'll have to fix a particular project, and that project is, I think we've done something similar before in this bootcamp, but this time around we are doing it more better. We are enhancing it. Okay, we are enhancing it. Good. So today, I want us to focus on what I call control statement. Control statement. Python control statement. Okay, good. Now, in our project, we must have come across the use of if statements. Okay, so control statements are basically like, they are just, they are the things that make your computers look smart. Yeah, they make your computers look smart. Computers are really dumb. Okay, they are really, really dumb. But with control statements, your computer starts acting smart. It acts like it knows what it wants. But truly it doesn't. It's just being controlled by control statements. Okay. And this control statement, what it simply does is it gives the computer a chance to decide, gives the computer a chance to decide if something is true, it does this. If something is not true, it does something else. You get? Now, for instance, let's assume that a human being is a computer. Let's assume that a human being is a computer, okay, and they have sorry, let's assume a human being is a computer. Okay, sorry, I had to mute that. Let's assume a human being is a computer, and you are you send that human being, let's say a child of 5 years, you say, hey boy, go and help me get gala, okay, snack. Let go and help me get snack. Now, you give that child a condition. You tell the child, if they have enough, like if they have 10, buy all. And if they do not have up to 10, return my money. So the child goes there and asks, I need 10 snacks or 10 gala, whatever name I have. Okay, I need 10 snacks. If they say it's not up to 10, the child returns the money. But if it is up to 10, then the child pays. Okay, the same thing happens to your device. Okay, your passwords. If your password is correct, your phone unlocks. And if your password is not correct, your phone remains locked. It will never unlock. Understand? So these are just things that your computer uses. So it makes your computer act like it knows what it's doing, like it is smart, but in reality, it is not. Okay, good. Now let's talk about bowling. Let's talk about bowling. Bowling. Now you see, computers are made up of yeah, they are made up of booleans. Yeah, let me use that. I know it's kind of it might look too large to comprehend, but it's true. Computers are made up of booleans. That is on or off, true or false. So whenever you're looking at your screen, you're actually looking at on switches. You're looking at switches that are on. That is why your screen can project whatever is projecting to you. Okay. If all the switches on your screen goes off, that means just your computer is not on, or the screen has gone bad. Understand? That is exactly what you have. So even if you're looking at colors too are still just tiny switches coming on and off. Well, don't worry, we'll get to treat that. Maybe if you want to know more about that, there are times where if you meet with me one on one, I will explain all of that to you. Okay, good. So now let's talk about it. In Python, a boolean is either true or false. These values are super useful because we can use them in conditions to decide what part of code to run. Now, let's look at this code. In this code, the condition is already true. There's a variable, a global variable with the condition true. I say if condition is equal, remember I've taught you this, that this one equal to is assignment. Then this double equal to, sorry, this one equal to means you're assigned. Then this double, it means the equal, like you know in mathematics. Okay, this one means you are assigning it. Okay, now condition true. If condition is equals to true, like truly, print the condition was true. Now let's try this in our edu blocks. Let's try this in our edu blocks. We're going to just copy this code because of our time. Now paste it here. Okay, now let's do this. Let me run this code. Now look at it. It says the condition was true. Now let me do this. Let me change this to false. Let me change this to false. And I say, if condition is true, print this condition was true. Now let's see what we are going to have this time. Nothing. Nothing. Who can tell me why we have nothing as an output? Please, if you have something to say, you can unmute your mic and tell me why we have nothing as an output. Or you can drop your message in the in-call messages. Who can tell me why we don't have any output with this code? Let me see. Oh, I was supposed to unlock the group so then. Okay, if you can tell me, I need somebody to tell me why we don't have an output here. Don't worry, I know it's brain teasing, but feel free. Just give me any answers. It doesn't matter. Give me any answer you can. Okay, I'm getting some answers already. Okay, now, why we don't have an output here? Why we don't have an output here is simply because we told the program what to do if the condition is true. Okay, if condition is equals to true, we said do this and do this. But the condition is false. So what does the program do? It becomes confused. It does nothing. That's why I say computers are dumb. They are really, really dumb. Okay. So now there's something else we can do. Okay, if you remember the calculator and the project we built, we created an if statement and we created else. Okay, else if, and we created else at the end. What that simply means, if this is true, do this, else do something else. But in this particular one, in this particular code that we just tried, okay, let me share this. This particular one, we did not tell it what to do if it is not true. So the computer is stuck. The computer is just there looking, doesn't know what to do. A child will not even behave like that. If a child doesn't know what to do, the child will go accent. Now, let's come down to this. I think this second one will help us fix. As we continue, we'll understand how we're going to fix that. It says, if condition is true, Python runs the indented code. This block of code within the first spaces in front is what we call code block. Once the indentation ends, Python knows the block is done. Now, let's look at this next code. This one says condition true. If condition is equals to true, print the condition was true. Now look at this. It says this one, look at this indentation. This indentation says outside of if. This one that says outside of if. It means if this thing, if this particular condition is no longer true, then let this run. Now let's try this again in our edu blocks. Let's try this in our edu blocks again. Take this code. Now we'll run this and we'll change the condition to false. Okay, good. Now let's look at this code. It says condition true. If condition is true, print the condition was true. Now print outside of the if. Good. Now let's take a look at this code properly. Let's say this. Okay, good. Now you'll notice that what I made this code to explain something about indentations. Okay, look at it. Indentations in Python. I've said it in my previous class that in Python, indentations matter. Some okay, indentation it matters a whole lot. Please, you need to indent your codes correctly because Python programming. I don't know, but I think Python is the only programming language that respects your indents. Okay, so to indent, you can use 4 spaces, that is space bar. You press the space bar 4 times, or you use what? The tab on your keyboard. Okay, you can use tab on your keyboard to fix that. Are we together? Good. Now let's come down to this part. Now I want us to use the else statement. Good. This was where I was driving at. Like when I said the computer was done. Now let's do this. Let's do this. Share this tab instead. Now let's take a look at this. Clear my output. Let's take a look at this. I said if condition is false. I said condition is false. If condition is true, print the condition was true. Else, print the condition was false. Now let's run this code and see. It says the condition was false because truly we already told the computer that the condition was false. So let's make the condition true this time. Yeah. Now the condition is true now. Okay. So let's run it. And it said the condition was true. We can see that. So that simply means the program or the computer has a choice between this or this, depending on what input it gets. Okay. Now we can edit this code to say we can edit this code to something like this. Password. If password instead of condition, make it password. Okay. Now we edit this condition to say or I'm just using double lines of print. You can use single line if you want. Password is correct. Password. Now, look at what I did here. Now, password equals to true. Okay. Now, if password is equal to true, you say the password is correct. Okay. Let me make it a bit Let me do this. Password is correct. Log in successful. Okay. Yeah, log in. Let me just use welcome. Now let's use welcome. Now, if the password is wrong, please, if I'm too fast, let me know. Try again. Now, we just created a small system that will check if the password is true, if it is correct. Okay. So if password is true, it prints the password is correct. Welcome. And if the password is not true, okay, it says the password is wrong. Try again. That's our program. Now let's run it and see. Oh, good. The password is correct. Welcome. Why? Because we've told it that the password is true. Now let's use false. Let's use false. Now the password is wrong. Try again. Good. Now let me take us back to something I really want to explain to us. I really want to explain this to us. Um, please, when you look at, you've been seeing my code. I've been using true, false, true, false. Okay. Most programming languages, they see true as yes, as one, as on, okay, as present, okay. Then false is means doesn't exist, as zero. False is zero, okay. That means it doesn't exist. It's absent. It's null, okay. But true means yes. That is why in our program we've been writing true and false without quotation. Somebody asked that, without quotation. So the program understands these are what we call keywords without quotation. Remember, this false here is different from this false. It's different from this false. Take note, this particular false written in quotes means it is a string. It's no longer the regular false like nothing. Okay, and this true also in quotes makes it a string. It's no longer the regular true. It means it is a string. So please take note of that. There's a difference between true, okay, and true in this form. There's a big difference. Please, let's take note of that. So for this project, we are dealing with this. Good. So, let me see. Now let's come down to what, okay, something we actually did. Yeah, we did this in our project. We did this in our project. Let me take this somewhere. Now this is handling multiple options with else if. Um, Okay, this is handling multiple options with else if. Okay, now you use this one whenever you have more than two options. Okay, just like that same, let's use that same child analogy. You say you send a child to buy something and you tell the child something like, hey, if they have 10, if they have 10 snacks, buy 10. But if they have only 5, then buy 3 from them. Then go to the other store to buy the remaining. If they have 7, buy this. Now you are giving that child so many conditions. Okay, you are giving that child so many conditions. That is where elif comes in. This elif, it's, you can just say it's else if. Okay, else if. Now look at the syntax. It says if condition is true, do this. Else if, that means it's elif. Else if it is this, then do this. Else if it is this, do this. Else if is this, then do this. Then if all of these conditions that I told you, if all of these conditions fails, if all of them fails, then this is the last thing you should do. Meaning, if the condition is true, now it says if the condition is true, print the condition was true. Else if name is Roger, print hello Roger. Else if name is Seed, print hello Seed. Else if name is Flavio, print hello Flavio. Else if now that this last one is now else. That means the final option. You have given that child or that program so many options. Okay, that is why let's look at that from the angle of passwords again. Now you are trying to log in your password. Okay, if you have had issues with Google passwords before, you will understand what I'm talking about. You will realize that if your password is wrong, Google might tell you something like you changed your password 2 weeks ago. Okay, and depends on your Google device or depends on the way you set up your Google account. Google can tell you, okay, we can only allow you sign in using a particular Android device. That means you have to tap a particular button on that Android device to be able to log in your Google account. So all of this happens because there is else if statement running on the ground. Because there is else if statement running on the ground. Now let's look at this. Let's try this in our edu blocks. Take this. Okay. Now take note. I created two variables. First variable means is condition, which is false. Second variable is name, which is Roger. Okay, good. Now let's run this code. When we run it, now it says hello Roger. Okay, why did it say hello Roger? Let's look, where did hello Roger come in? This is hello Roger. Now means this is the part that played out. Now this part played out because the name is Roger. Okay, yeah, that's why this part played out. You can say I said else if name is Roger, print hello Roger. Okay, now let's tamper with our conditions a bit. Let's do this. Let's make condition true. Let's make condition true and run this. Good. Now the condition was true. That's the output I got. Why? Because I said if the condition is true, print the condition was true. Okay, good. Now let's play around again. Let's play around. Let's change this name, this Roger to Flavio. Clear output and run again. Now it keeps saying what the condition was true. Now good. Why it cannot break true? Because this first one is winning. This first one is already true. So it doesn't need to go down. The program doesn't need to check other else if, else if, else if. As long as this one is already true, then every other thing is forgotten. Now let's change this to false so that it can skip that first one. Let's change this to false and run the code. Good. Now it says hello Flavio. Why? Because since this is false and it's this first one, line 4 says if condition is true, then condition that means, but here condition is not true. This one says if else if name is Roger, but the name is not Roger, so it skips. This one says else if name is Seed, but the name is not Seed, so it skips to the next one. Now this one says name is Flavio, and it checks, wow, correct, name is Flavio. Then it prints out hello Flavio. Are we getting it? Please, if you're getting it, please send me an emoji so I will understand that we are going together. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So let's look at this again. Let's move on to, please, if you have any questions, feel free to drop your questions. Thank you, Gilbert. Thank you, Felix Hokri. Thank you, everyone. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to the next one. Okay. Now, this next one is what we call ternary operators. Let me share this screen. Okay. It's called ternary operators. Remember, we've dealt with this already. Now, ternary operators simply says sometimes we want to choose between two values quickly. Python has a neat inline way to do that. Okay, a neat inline way to do that. Remember all of this. Remember this code we did here. Okay, somebody. Okay. Remember this code we did here. Okay, where we had just one condition, and this one we had two conditions. Okay, if this is this, else this happens. So in this part of the code, this is like it's a logic that programmers use whenever they don't want to write the if else statement. They don't want to write the long process of if, else if, or if and else. Okay, now this particular one, it helps you write short codes. It helps you write short codes. Okay, so okay, there's a question. Sorry. Yes, you can download Python 3.3 for offline use. Yeah, okay. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so as I was saying, this ternary operator is just like it helps you to create conditionals without having to use long lines like if and if else or if and else. It just makes it straight. Now let's look at this code. Let's take this code to Edu blocks. Let's take this code to Edu blocks. Do I have a message? Okay. Now let's take this code to Edu blocks. Hide this somewhere. Okay, good. This is our ternary operator. Now, what this simply does is, now let's look at this code and understand it clearly. Let me clear my output here. Now, I made a variable a equals to 2. I just gave it the variable a simple name, a. Okay. And I said result equals to 2. If a is equals to, now, please take note, I've been using the word equal to. When I use equal to in this context, I do not mean equal to, I mean assigned. Okay. Let me rephrase that so that to not confuse my fellow programmers here. Okay, because most times we use equals to, but it means assign. Okay. Now we assign the value 2 to a. Okay. And in this case, we assign the value 2 to result. And we say if a is directly equals to, that means if a is equals to 0. Okay. Now do this. Else print 3. Now let's run this code and see. Now it gives us 3. Look at the 3 outputs. Now let's look at how this code runs. I want you to understand this clearly. Now we say this means that if A equals to 0, result will be 2. Otherwise, result will be 3. That's exactly what it's saying. If A is equals to 0, result will be 2. Okay? Otherwise, result will be 3. Now, what we are simply saying here is we have given A 2 already. And we said result is 2 if A is 0. Else, result is 3. You can see this is like using lot of conditionals, bringing it in one line. Okay, before I explain ternary operators to my learners, I like to make sure they've practiced the regular conditionals. But I'm just saying this so that you can have it in mind that there's something called ternary operators, which we use basically whenever we are building applications and you are trying to avoid the long lines of code. Okay, now let me just rephrase it for the last time. I said A is 2 and result is equals to 2. If A is 2 is assigned to A and 2 is assigned to result if A is equal to 0, else A should be 3. Now let's do this. Let's make A to be 0 and run this code. Remember the first time we got 3. Now look at it. We got 2 this time because this code said if A is 0, then the result should be 2. Remember, I believe you are catching up with that. I said if A is 0, result should be 2. Else, if A is not 0, then the result should be 3. Okay, so I can do, let's say A is 7 now, and we run. It says result is 3 because we've simply written it there. We said if A is 0, the result should be 2. Remember, it's like we are reading backwards. Okay, if A is 0, result is 2. Else, then result should be 3. That's exactly what ternary operator is. Okay. So is there any question, any further question so far? Any question so far? Any question so far? Uh,
Yeah, hello, Mr. Ken.
okay.
So, it's not really a question, anyways, but I noticed I've been trying to work with tests,
Okay.
but then I'm not able to run the output. Like while I'm working, I told you I'm using my phone.
Okay.
You know, when you're working with test,
Yeah.
on the other side of the output, you're supposed to do what you're doing to tell you that
Yeah.
you're correct, you're doing the right thing. But
Yeah.
while working with the phone, the app completely empty. Nothing is happening there
Okay.
where the error is coming from.
Okay. Okay. I will suggest. Can you hear me clearly? Can you hear me clearly? Glitch on the network. Okay, good. Good. So what I'm saying is, if you're having difficulty using um these edu blocks on your phone, okay, because edu blocks works best on on phones, on tabs and laptops. Okay, it works on phones too, but I wonder why it's not running. You can check if you're on Android, you can check any offline editor. If you're on App Store and it's on Apple device, you can check, just search for Python editor, okay, or Python IDLE. Just search for it. There are many of them online. There are many apps you can download that will help you test and run your Python codes. Okay, there are many you can download that will help you test and run your Python codes. Okay, but remember that this class I suggested EduBlocks so that we can do it online so that we don't have to start installing different packages, because if I am to allow anybody, or if I say okay, run it the way you want, that means we'll spend one full week helping this person install, helping this person install, helping this person install. So, but Edu blocks, you don't need installation. You can just do it. But if you are having issues with Edu blocks, please, you can look up your App Store. If you're on Android, you can look up your Play Store. If you're on Apple, look up your App Store, or any, just look up any on any device. And if you're using your Windows computer, okay, you can just search for Python 3 download and you'll get the Python environment. You can download that offline to also test your codes. Okay, you can do that to test your codes, to run your codes. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. I think let's, if there are further questions, please, if there are further questions, feel free to ask me. Um, feel free to ask me. And yeah, there's a project for us to build today. Yeah, there's a project for us to build today. Um, it's let me see. Okay. Where is that stuff? Okay. This project, we've built something similar before, but this time around we are building it again with clearer understanding. We are building it again with clearer understanding. And for those of us that built um, the guess the number game, okay? So this time around, let me see if I think I built it here. Guess the number. Is it this? Okay. Let me see if this is it. So, so those of us that built it then will be building it more on using text based this time. I advise you use text so that you can build it conveniently, because the block based might limit you to what you need to do. Okay, good. So I'll be sending that particular guide. I'll be sending the guide to the project to the WhatsApp group. Okay, and please, your you can submit your project to my email address. I'll also send my email address to the WhatsApp group. Okay, because I noticed that some of you are working on your laptop, so you cannot send information from laptop to WhatsApp. So I will send my email address, and if you are comfortable with your phone, you can also just send it directly to my WhatsApp. Okay, good. So any further question before we call it a day? Okay, so let's call it a day. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Yeah, so see you in our next class, and make sure your projects are done. Thank you.